All right, so we got a party tonight. It's downtown Nashville on Broadway, and it's my normal spot that I play on Fridays and Saturdays, but I want to mix it up a little bit. I had a routine, and I want to share with you how I prepare for my weekly residency. This is how I prepare my weekly sets. Let's start hacking. This is going to apply for anybody who uses any type of DJ software. What's more important to me is the song selection. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty of hardware, software, nothing like that. It's all about picking the hits. And I think the best way to attack this is to start with a couple of playlists. We'll label this one This Weekend. And I already got off to a little bit of a start, but it's pulling from this playlist, which is about 460 tracks. Now, what I mean by Broadway is, here's some footage, by the way. This is downtown Nashville, Tennessee. This is Tourist Central, honky tonks, and nightclubs. On the first floor, you've got a lot of authentic, classic country, new country, rock, sometimes some bluegrass. And then on the rooftop or the second floor, they usually let the DJ fly. So to say that I know my audience is an understatement. I've been up and down Broadway for close to 7 years now. Shout out to anybody who works in a tourist town or maybe at a theme park. You never see the same faces twice. It's sad, but kind of a relief, because if you screw up, you're never going to see them again. But the way I attack Broadway is kind of like a carnival ride. You don't necessarily know the person who tore your ticket at that theme park ride. You remember the ride, right? So that's the way I position myself. I'm the ticket taker before the movie. I'm in the background. I'm a second thought to the actual music. So I take a back seat. I wear black all the time. I'm in the shadows. And I realize that my audience is only there for about 15 minutes. Now, this takes me back to the time when I used to work in radio. Radio has the same kind of listening patterns. The average listening span for someone listening to the radio is generally about 7 minutes per day, if that. That's just because we're always running about. We're at the store, we're listening to stations there, we're at a Subway, grabbing a sandwich. We pick up the FM there, we're in an Uber, we hear it. Point is, radio stations always had to hook you fast. We had to do our research to find out what songs were going to have you stick around a little bit longer. And much like these honky-tonks and nightclubs, the bands and the DJs are always playing familiar songs. So that's one thing you'll notice about my crate is that it's very, how should I say, mainstream with a little bit of kick to it. You'll see that there are familiar songs all throughout this Broadway crate. And again, I only have 460 songs. Take note of this, zoom in, out of an entire collection of only 1,200 songs. That is because I know my audience. I've been doing this for years. I don't have to have 5,000 songs with me or a terabyte of tracks. And I also know what works for this particular market. I don't have to have a huge collection. And I encourage you to do the same thing. There's so many ways to finesse your library and make it the best, leanest. Every time you pull a track, even blindly, the song's going to be a hit. But I really recommend, before you even start DJing in your city again, before you start building your next library, go walk the streets. I know it sounds strange, but literally go walk the streets of your city and keep your ears open. Your eyes are always open, but are your ears really picking up on the sound of your city? Getting a little philosophical here, but honestly, it's the very first thing I did when I moved into Nashville. Clearly, we are a music city. Of course, in Nashville, there's music everywhere, so my ears were always perked up, but you can do the same no matter where you are. Listen to local radio stations. Walk around and listen to the bands, the other DJs. What are they playing? I know you want to stand out, but you also have to feel the vibe of your community. I'm going to create a list of 100 songs in mixable order. And what I mean by that is not blindly going at it from a cold approach. That is, of course, one great way to DJ. You're in the moment, you're grabbing what you like, but how many times in that particular moment have you lost concentration, run out of options, backed yourself into a corner? So here's my first suggestion. Make the perfect set like you think it would go. You want to have a general template, a framework that sort of works, but you're ready to move at any point. So here's how I would start. I'm going to try to find what the #1 song in America is, just to get the party started. And I would go to places like All Access, Media Base. I see that Billie Eilish is #1, a slower song, to be honest. Espresso's still hanging in there, but if you notice on the charts here, it's going down. These blue indicators indicate that it's going up. So Espresso may not be a bad one to start off with if I really want to hook them with something familiar, but I did that last week. So I think I'm going to start with Shabuzi, a bar song, Tipsy. Still hanging in there, still climbing up the charts. It's in a BPM of, I believe, 80. So that's how I'm going to start my set. And as you can see, I've already got about 25 tracks, grand total of about an hour and a half. Now I'm going to stop you before you say what I think you're about to say. You're predicting the future. How do you know if the party's going to go this way? That's fine. But see, I challenge myself every week to make an alternate crate. So if this crate this week doesn't work, I can always go back to old ones that actually worked. See, it's all about time stamping. If you can keep the last 2 years of everything you played along with the history of what you played, then that is your brand. That will always be your brand unless you decide to change it. So I time stamped. I took every history of my performances and kept them. And one way to do that is just to go to your history file in your virtual DJ, your Serato. In this case, it's Rekordbox. This was me on Broadway last month, double-decker weekend. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of crossover, but I could pick up at any point in this history and I'd feel confident. So that to me is the most important thing, is confidence, knowing what comes up next. Now, I know you're still thinking you have to go with the flow. I am, but I'm prepared to catch that wave. See, going with the flow is only going to get you so far. Nowadays, songs and audiences' attention spans are about 2 minutes long. Are you really that quick of a thinker to stack up 200-300 2-minute songs throughout a 5-hour set? Are you just dragging songs left and right on your Serato decks? If that's the case, then you are a master DJ. Then turn off this channel and subscribe. It is now safe to leave the temple. My point is, there are many ways to skin the cat, and this has worked for me over the past 25 years of my career, and I'd love to see if this works for you. The chance of being able to take histories and harken back to a time that you knew it actually worked. As an example, last week on Twitch, I'm going to remember this mix between Pitbull and The Outfield with Diplo. Even if I just see 3 or 4 song combinations, I can always timestamp those and put them into a future combination. Everyone say hi to my cat Gizmo, by the way. He'll be holding down the fort while I'm at the club tonight. So let's show you what I've built so far. In this weekend's performance, I'm going to start off with Shabuzi. This is the Roadhouse Tipsy redrum. It takes Jaquan's Tipsy, speeds up the tempo of a bar song. Shout out to Nashville's very own DJ Silver for making this remix, which I believe you can find on Clip Killers. And while I can't play the audio on this video for copyright reasons, you can probably sing these songs in your head. I could only assume because, again, I'm trying to hook you with familiar songs. And I mentioned earlier mixable order. Let me show you the difference. Back to the all Broadway crate. This is simply tossed together in slow BPM to the fastest, right? And my keys on the left-hand side here are all over the place. So I'm not really confident that Fleetwood Mac would mix really well into, I know for a fact these two would not mix very well because they're out of key. I take this and I put it into key order and I try to keep the BPM within a +6, -6 range. And now here's where I would like to talk about perfect world scenario, how to gain trust with an audience. This is where I've always built my crates, on this philosophy and template. Right now, 128 BPM seems to be the pocket for DJs. In 2024, EDM house remixes are the norm. Personally, I've grown a little exhausted of it as of recent because that's all I'm hearing lately. So I believe we need to shake it up a little bit. We have to dip into lower BPMs as not to exhaust our audience. So what I recommend is go in blocks of 5, max 10 in a particular tempo. You'll see how I did that as we began this crate. I want to earn their trust. I don't want to blow them out of the gates with a high tempo just yet, but I'm within the range of 85 to 90 in the first 5 songs. There are slam edits where it automatically shifts to a different tempo. Personally, I like to use transition edits, and this one that takes Martin Solveig and Paper Planes and mixes those together, taking you from 86 to 128. That got me to my 128 tempo about 15, 20 minutes into my set. From there, using the circle of fifths and key harmony, again, I tried to make a harmonic match and keep the energy from getting too out of control. Again, perfect world scenario, we're just warming them up. This particular remix of Party Rock Anthem is a little less energy than the original one, so as not to completely blow them out. And I want you to notice the particular edits that I'm using here. See, rather than sound like a radio station, something you could listen to on your Spotify, I am going to be a DJ. I'm going to try to throw you some left curves with remixes, subtle remixes. I don't want to get too crazy on you. Same goes for the De Niro remix of Cardi B. It's not too high tempo, Latin infused. It's got more of a warm house beat to it. Now, another thing I want you to notice is I'm trying to do my best with one distinct characteristic. It's a fun fact, but your local radio stations are speeding up the tempo of popular songs. I challenge you to try this. Grab your Spotify, get Spotify ready to play, and try to play a song on the radio and match the tempos. 9 times out of 10, the radio station you're listening to is speeding up that song for a number of reasons. Psychologically, it's a tempo boost. It makes the audience pick up the pace a little. But also with commercials, with weather reports, with disc jockey breaks, there was a lot to fit into an hour. And again, to keep you listening longer, they're going to try and cram in as much entertainment and information into that hour. So they speed up the music to fit more in. So that's one philosophy that radio's taught me. Another is artist separation. Artist separation is where you, for example, have a new Post Malone album that just came out. Your local radio station isn't going to play all 3 Post Malone songs in a row. And obviously, you wouldn't either, but I challenge you to take this a step further. Keep the artists separated. If you're going to play Pitbull, wait about 5 songs until you hear Pitbull's voice again. And also, separate the sexes. Hear me out. If you keep hearing a male voice over and over and over again, it turns into a frat house. You've got to sprinkle in the female vocals. You have to keep them separated. And that just gives so much more variety and depth. It's a psychological trick. Radio programmers have done it for years. But you can do the same in your DJ sets by keeping the sexes separated. LMFAO, 2 frat house brothers. Cardi B, Jack Harlow, definitely a frat house brother. Cher, female, male, female, male, female, male. See what I'm doing here? I promise if you listen to this particular set, you won't notice it, but you won't be bored. And there's just a couple more things I want to share with you today. And the next is trying to figure out if these songs are actually popular. So many times DJs get cocky. We think, yeah, this works. But the truth is, we need to validate our instincts. What do I mean by that? We've looked at the same collection for however long you've been a DJ, right? It tends to be a blank stare, a void sometimes, because you've seen the same line of code all this time that those lines become blurry. You don't know if this song is an actual hit or not, except for doing some cross-referencing and validating. Let me show you a couple of ways to validate. First off, go to places like this. I mentioned Mediabase earlier, which was great. XM Playlist is another good one that has all the radio stations and their charts. There's a Spotify weekly chart, Shazam charts, BeatSource, YouTube. I'll link all of these in the descriptions below. But this is so crucial because I'm going to give this to you for free. This is the brand new CrateHackers X. I can see songs that actually work. Metrics like energy, danceability, and moods certainly help. But you can also see the popularity metric, and that's what I'm trying to point you towards. This is the validation I'm talking about. CrateHackers is going to pull up all of the streaming data and let you know what's a hit and what's not. See, one of the reasons why I built CrateHackers to begin with was because it takes all of the work I've been doing back here and puts it onto one platform, showing me all the songs that are in mixable order and work really well together. No more guesswork. An exact key match or an energy boost whenever you need it. You want to take it down a notch, it shows you where to go. By far one of my most used features on CrateHackers, and you have 7 days to try it out with a link below. So to recap, earn their trust. Take 5 to 10 songs and put them into a mixable combination. Try to find a way to transition up to the next tempo. Give me 10 more of those. Try to keep everything separated as best as you possibly can, especially if you're an open format DJ. You don't want to lean too pop for too long, too heavy for too long in rap and hip hop or Latin. You want a variety. And that, of course, includes keeping the genders separated and the variety flowing all throughout this hour and a half. I got a little bit more cleanup to do here. This is a 5-hour set tonight that I have to put together, but this is a good foundation that I'm pretty proud of so far. There we go. Off to a good start already. And even if it doesn't work out tonight, I can confidently say that this may work in a different environment down the line. Again, don't forget to timestamp. Be proud of the work you've done before in the past. History is always a great way to analyze what's worked before. Bring it into the future. Use it for all these possible scenarios that may come your way as a DJ. As you can tell, I really get into this. I love hacking. That's one of my favorite pastimes. Been doing this for about 25 years now, and we've built a pretty strong community that believes that less is more, and it is our job to help you find the right song at the right time. We are the CrateHackers. Playing more videos just like this. Subscribe, and thanks for hacking.